Hey friend, thanks for popping in. I'm delighted to share with you a little quick tutorial on how to use the Sprigs and Leaves template to create this card. So I start off by stamping my sentiment, and then I'm going to cover it with a circle to protect the sentiment. I have pre-stuck this with a repositionable glue, so that's going to allow me to pull that off later. So I'm using the Sprigs and Leaves stencils. So it's a 2-pack, and the first stencil, you have to be a little bit more particular in how you ink this up. So you'll see I'm using a sort of a dabbing motion to make sure that I'm not ruining or pulling up the intricate elements of the stencil set. So we're going to do, obviously, cover the entire card using this. You don't need to do the part where you'll see the circle underneath, because we're going to lift that up afterwards. So you need to do around it, but you don't need to do that little bit underneath it. So if you just follow my motion, you'll see that I'm quite careful with how I add that ink using the sponge. Okay, now that's done, we lift that up. Doesn't it look pretty? Okay, now we bring in our next stencil, which is kind of like an overlay. So I'm using sage ink. And with this stencil, it doesn't have, it's a shadowing effect and adds in a few extra elements. It doesn't have the same intricate cuts of the first one. So with this one, you can just use more of a rotational method over the top. So it may not show up so easily in the video because I've fast forwarded it, but you'll see that you don't have to be as careful with this part. So you just rotate around over the top of the stencil, and again just colouring it all in except for the part where that circle is. Once I've done that, you'll see I'm going to lift the stencil up, and around the circle I'm just going to use the same sage ink and add a little bit of an extra border just to give extra definition to that circle area. And I start with the ink in the center of my circle and then add it outwards, and that just stops any hard circles of ink, basically, or any extra definition. Now, the trick is I'm going to add some gold stickles, and I'm using the circle as my guide. So it's actually quite easy to do. You just need to rotate your card around, just using that circle, and you just run your stickles along that edge. Obviously, you can use any color. There's lots of beautiful colors available. Now, when you have done this, you won't be able to lift your circle off until the stickles has dried. So give it a couple of hours to dry before you lift that circle off. But once you're done, you're just going to head it to your base card, and voila, there you go. I did add some extra little glitter on the card as well.